We're going to be making a sculpture today, okay? The sculpture will be your idea. It will be your interpretation or your idea of what the coronavirus looks like. Okay, if you built a coronavirus, what would it look like? And you will be making a sculpture. The most important piece is that it's your idea. Nobody really knows what it looks like. But I went online and I found 2 artist renderings of what people are thinking that virus looks like. And you might say to yourself, well, what the heck is a virus? It looks a bit like a complicated flower. Okay? So these are artist pictures of what the coronavirus looks like. So number 1, so I want you to go to phone, whatever it is, wherever it is that you look up images, look up the coronavirus and all the ways in which people have come up with ideas about how it looks. Second step. You have paper and colored pencils in your kit. So what I want you to do is I'd like you to just do a sketch or drawing of one of the coronavirus pieces or pictures or images that you see online. There's no right or wrong. You're seeing that the shape is round. Who knows why? But it's round. And it has small, what look kind of like little cauliflower shoots, or I don't know, little buds of some sort of covering the surface. There's a function to those. I don't know what it is. But the reason why this virus looks the way it does is because there's a function or there's a reason for why it looks the way it does. In other words, it's the function that drives how it looks. Secondly, I want you to explore 2 different ideas about what your virus looks like. Okay? Is it kind of fancy and you're going to use a lot of colors and paint on it? Or is it kind of more simple and you're saying, oh, why? W-H-Y, why? Or some other text or concept that gets to the upheaval that this has caused for people. It's been, and still is, a horrible thing that's happening in this world. Why? Artists make drawings and sculptures of hard things so we can try to make sense of things that are much larger than we are. We're going to get down to the business of making the sculpture. So, I have 2 samples here, okay? One of which is the finished version of my Y drawing, okay? So you see the drawing, and the drawing doesn't look exactly like the sculpture, and it doesn't have to. It won't. It's just an idea, okay? So I used the drawing as a jumping off place. This is my second idea. This one hasn't been painted yet. This is what the clay will look like when it's dry and ready to be painted. Okay? I thought I'd leave the painting to include how I go about painting it in the video. Okay? So this one, it's much more kind of, it has a different feeling to it. I wish you were here with me because we would talk about that. We would talk about the difference between how each of these feels. Okay, this is a very sturdy clay. It's clay that doesn't need to be fired. It's called self-hardening. So your clay sculpture will harden up enough for you to then paint it. Let's get on to the business of making your sculpture. Okay? So you've got instructions. They probably look a little nicer than what I'm using here, but you have step-by-step instructions in your kits. You will need a cereal bowl. You will need a fork. This is my little fork. It's a clay tool. I don't have a fork, but a fork works just the same. And you'll need a small container with a little water on it, in it. Number one step. Lay paper down, okay, to protect whatever table surface you're working on. However, this is easy wash cleanup, okay? So don't worry about that too much. So I take my bowl, okay, I put it down on top of my newspaper. I take my piece of plastic and put it on top. Thank you, monsieur. I take my piece of plastic and put it over my cereal bowl. Okay? So, you have a big old piece of clay, okay, in your kits. Now, this will be your slab. You will be making a slab. And for people who don't know what that is, I've got a little bit of description about that in the steps. This is going to stick a lot to the newspaper, so it's going to stick anyway. But this is what you're going to do. Okay, you're gonna make this thing into what looks like a big piece of bread. Now, the thing is with bread, it's the same thickness all the way across, from the top to the bottom, to the side, to the other side, okay? Same thickness, okay? Okay? So I'm still making my slab, okay? I can tell that I have too much clay here. Eventually, it's going to go on top of there when it's thin enough. So I can take a little of this off. What I'm after is that my slab covers the bowl, okay? It goes on top of the plastic, on top of the bowl, okay? So I'm going to continue on until, okay, the clay is around a ½ an inch thick. From my little finger, from here to here, here to here, it's kind of like ½ an inch. If you have a roller at home and nobody minds if you get a little clay on it, that can help you with this process. It is not necessary. So I pick it up periodically, partly because I don't want it to stick to the table, and partly because it's a good way for me to gauge whether or not it's of equal thickness throughout. In other words, the thickness, how does it compare to like the end of my little finger, okay? It's actually a little, not quite as thick as that measurement. So you really want to try for ½ an inch. So I recommend looking at a ruler periodically, checking it out. Get a ruler, check it out. When is it ½ an inch? So I'm going to lay my clay down on top of the plastic. The plastic keeps the clay from sticking to the bowl. And this bowl will be fine to use later. Don't think that it ruins it or anything. So then I'm gonna pat, 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 pat. So you'll notice that I am pressing, I'm making sure to press where the bowl meets the table surface. That's a very important piece of this whole puzzlectomy, okay? So what you've got here is what? If we look at this, we say, oh, that's flat. Because it's a photograph, it's flat. We're making a sculpture. Sculptures take up space. Well, let's just say they exist in space. They're not flat, okay? This is not flat. It's also not a sphere. It's half of a sphere. We've talked about spheres, okay? A sphere is like a globe. So this is like half a ball. It's still a sculpture. So there's a little place here where I'm missing clay. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to add, I'm going to press it in. And there you go. You can see I have a lot of extra clay. I didn't have as much extra clay when I made these two. I've decided to leave the extra clay because it looked kind of like my virus had exploded. You know, it's like, boom, that it just sort of like came apart. So I left it on there. You can, however, take it off. I didn't mention this, but you could just use, you know, a regular butter knife, bread knife, you know, the one you use for peanut butter and jelly. So I could remove the clay, the plastic's annoying me. But you can remove the clay and get back to, you know, something that is, you know, has a more sort of an even edge. Now, I don't like even edges, and but that's just my thing. One thing it's really important that I want you to do. Okay, let's say, you know, you just don't want all that clay. But be patient. That's what this COVID thing is all about. It's about being patient, you know? It's just a little harder to get it apart. Okay. Okay, so again, I can come in here, and I can even use my plastic to make this edge nice and even and neat and all that kind of thing. So I don't know if you can see that I left a piece there. So essentially, looks like what I've made is a cap with a little tiny visor on it. All right. Now, this is so you can hang it on the wall. Okay. So what I did was I put a big old hole through that piece that's still added on, okay? You put your nail in the wall and hang your piece wherever you want your piece to go. That is why, okay, for the piece that you're working on, leave a section on there so that your piece can be proudly displayed on your wall. I'm going to show you some techniques for how you can create your vision. What does your virus, your sculpture look like? What does your virus express, visually express about your feeling about COVID, germ, virus? This is a symbol of trouble. It's trouble, okay? And that's a big, 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 big topic. So your vision is one of many, okay? So let's get to it. Now, some of you remember, okay, making coils, okay? Little worm O clay, okay? So this is how I like to do it. I put it down, okay? I'm doing it on the table surface because I don't want it to stick to the newspaper, okay? Let's say, all right, this coil, I'm actually going to, given that it's a coil, I think I'll coil it up kind of into itself. I'll make one of those sort of a coin shape. And I'm just showing you technique now. Okay? So this is something I want to put maybe like right there, kind of as a focal point. Like, look at me. This is the center, dead center. Really, really important is you have a container with some water in it, okay? And you're going to put a little bit of water on your clay, okay? You're going to score with your fork. This clay is nice and wet, okay? So I don't need to put much water on it, just like dib-a-dib-a-dib, okay? Not a lot, okay? And then I'm going to press that cup down. I'm going to make sure it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to squeeze that little edge onto the surface. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be all the way around, okay? So we're getting rid of the crease that exists between the piece and your sculpture. For this piece, okay, I left my edge, and that was fine with me, and I decided to make some things that sort of jagged out, and then I just used coil for my word, why, and used coil for the question mark. For this one, this just came off, and I'm not going to cry or anything. I don't even have to really honestly put it back there. I'm okay with it staying off. If this bothers you, Elmer's glue. Just a plain old, if you've got just a household white glue around. If you don't, hey. My nail hole is here. So again, this will be on the wall. Let me show you how I made some of these things. This is just a small cylinder. This is mostly coil. So coil, coil, coil. All of this snaky business is coil. Just like a coin-shaped piece of clay that I've scored and slipped onto the surface. This is a triangle shape. I scored and slipped and put onto the surface. I wasn't planning to do this, but I want to go quickly over. I'm using a little paint here. I'm going to go quickly over some shapes. Okay? Triangle. Circle. Square. Okay? Sort of an indeterminate shape. Sort of like Organic is the word I would use. Okay? Sort of a different kind of shape that you might want to add on to the surface of your sculpture. And you might want some shapes that are, you know, kind of like little pinched up cups. I just took a little slab of clay, okay? I put my thumbs under it and I just kind of pulled it up like a little pinch pot. And I'm gonna put it right there, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna score and slip, and then I'm gonna press it on. I've got this form that's coming out. That is what distinguishes something flat, like a photograph, from something sculptural. Sticks out, takes up space. I can draw into the surface. Okay? I can make a grid pattern. Okay? I can make a face. You could use just a pencil, anything that has kind of a pointy tip. The pencil's not going to, you know, draw or anything like that. I kind of like just having, you know, a grid shape. Grid meaning a set of parallel lines with a set of parallel lines going the other way. It's something you see a lot. You'll see it as a pattern on the surface of a building. I just want to make sure that you have the information you need in order to create your virus world in the way that you want to. So I just put that clay together and I'm going to pat it down. So I'm going to cut it straight on the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to take it and roll it into a cylinder. Okay. So again, I'm going to score. I think I'll put this puppy right here. I'm not being terribly careful with, you know, where I'm placing my stuff, because I'm really just showing you how to do this. Now, there's no reason, obviously I didn't put that on well enough, so I'm going to come in here, okay, get rid of the crease between. I thought I was going to be able to get away with not doing that, but you can't get away with not doing that. I'm going to get rid of it here too. Why not go further? It all depends on your idea, okay? Coil. But, okay, well, I'm not really liking where I'm going with this. So I'm going to change my plan. I'm going to come back in here, and I'm just going to take my hand, and I'm going to get back to where I was. I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to cover this thing with dots. Okay? Just going to cover this thing with dots. Okay, so I've shown you, okay, like sort of making a pattern that's just sort of marks or dots or sort of fleck marks in the surface of the clay. Now I'm going to press that out again. I am trusting my intuition. I am just kind of going for it. I'm just pressing all my shapes up here on the top of this, like a kind of a pile of badness. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to kind of say, well, Yeah, COVID's a mess. Oh yeah, now we're talking. I'm gonna make a ball. And I'm gonna put my fingers in here. Okay, and I'm gonna make a pinch pot bowl. And I am gonna score and slip this. This is already scored. I'm gonna score this. And I'm gonna put a little slip here, and I'm gonna put a little slip here, and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna press down hard on this, cause remember, the cereal bowl is still in there, okay? Supporting this. This is how far off the wall, okay, this piece is at this point. I kinda like that. I'd like to call it aggressive, you know, like reaching out into space, you know? Like how COVID has reached in and sort of taken over, okay? So hopefully that's plenty of information about how you make your COVID sculpture look. It's because of you. It's about you. At this point, okay, what you're going to want to do is to let it dry for a few hours before you take it off the bowl, okay? Let's pretend I've waited a few hours. This is how I want you to approach taking it off the bowl so it can dry. It can't dry if it's on the bowl. I'm going to pick it up and support it. I'm going to take my plastic out and my bowl out. Then I'm going to have some balled up newspaper. Ta-da! When it's dry enough that you can take it off the bowl and take the plastic out, find a spot for it. Okay? Find a spot where it can stay safe for about a week until it dries, okay? Now, I put it here because by a window it's going to get a lot of nice sunshine, and so it will dry a little more quickly. Hopefully people leave it alone and it dries quickly, okay? Because I don't want you to paint until it's absolutely dry, okay? Okay, now we come to the fun part, the color, color, color. I say color, color, color on there. This is dry, okay? The difference in color, wet, dry. Dry sound. Oh no. I need to do a little better scoring and slipping. You know what's kind of funny though is that I don't think I missed that either. You will find when you do something, somebody didn't score and slip well enough. And so, score and slip better than I do. I still love it though. I have a piece of plexiglass here. You don't have to have plexiglass. You can put your paints out on your newspaper, although I think in your kits, your paints are in containers. But if you want to mix any colors, you can use newspaper. So I'm going to put all my colors out because this thing, poor thing, has a lot of different kinds of shapes. So this is the exact same kind of paint that you have in your containers. And so I am going, it's kind of, I'd say this piece is kind of, I know it's missing some pieces. It's kind of frisky. It has kind of a, it's not particularly a scary or angry looking COVID virus kind of image. I mean, you've got your water, you've got your paints. It's not the easiest thing in the world not to get the paint kind of in other, on other parts of the surface. So I'm going to come in with yellow, and I'm going to come around here, and it's going to turn a little orangey because there's a little bit of red there. So personally, I'm not persnickety about colors mixing in with each other. This is the sculpture of a virus. This is an organism. This thing is alive. It moves, it changes. Why should the colors necessarily stay in one place? You know, I'm going to put some green onto this coil. I don't have any white. You'll probably have some white. I want to make I want the background to be gray. It is gray, but I want to kind of put some color on there. I'm just using the black, real watery like watercolor, right? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And what's nice about this is that I can paint other colors on top of it when it dries. It's a nice watery background. You know, and I'm saying to myself, now self, I like that washy gray against that bright, popping kind of color. So that's what I'm after here. I don't think I need to finish the whole thing for you to understand where I'm going with this. So let me see. I wish you were there so I could ask if there were any questions, but hopefully the directions will tell you everything. We are planning to, showcase your work at Baltimore Clay Works on the website. So please, please, please do the project. I would love to see what you do. It may be that your teacher and I will figure out a time so that we can get together and you can show me your work and tell me about it, and that would be dream come true. So happy sculpturing, and thank you for your patience. I can't wait to see you.